Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio on this joyous Christmas Eve. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voitko.
Good morning.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. And the best way to get in a comment or question is fire it on in to our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Fire it on in and we'll get around to answering it in the second part of the show, as long as we deem the question or topic you sent in to be appropriate for us to address on the show. Also, by the way, the good news about this tip link is that it's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our show later, like on our podcast feed on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and by the way, everybody should go and subscribe to our podcast feed. So if you ever can't be in front of the YouTube video, you got the audio only version. Or if you happen to be watching the show a little bit later on the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question with a tip link and we'll just get around to answering it on our next episode. All right, guys, we got a lot of stuff to cover here today. And because it's Christmas week, we told our sponsors we're not running any sponsor ads this week. So because it's Christmas week, we decided we're going to do a little bit more low key. So we got no sponsor breaks this week.
Commercial free.
So let's dive into it, shall we? We got a number of things to talk about. We're going to start with this. Kraven, the gift that just keeps on taking. Took hours of our lives away, took joy away from us, and it ruined Christmas.
For those who saw it.
Yeah, for those that saw it.
Not me, Ray.
And a lot of you guys never did see it. Well, of course, Kraven opened with a monumentally low opening weekend box office. But, there were people who liked it. Some. So, maybe they'd go out to see it again. Maybe it would get a little bit of word of mouth. Maybe some people would convince other people to go see it. Well, that didn't happen.
Yep.
As Kraven made about $3 million on its second weekend, taking a nearly 72% drop, one of the largest second weekend drop, despite the fact that its first weekend, when you have a small opening weekend, you don't expect the second weekend to have a big drop off because you don't have that much further to drop. But it dropped nearly 72%, one of the biggest second weekend drop-offs in comic book movie history. This comes to us from Comic Book Movie wrote, with a nearly 72% second weekend drop, Kraven the Hunter has grossed only $3.1 million. It went in its second weekend to number 7 at the box office. In just its second weekend, it's dropped to number 7. Anyway.
That should be a lesson to all the movie studios. Never drop a prequel to a prequel in the same month.
In the same month. That takes its domestic total to 17 million, and when its overseas numbers are taken into account, Kraven overall worldwide has made $42 million worldwide. Just a little context. Sonic the Hedgehog made more money than that on its opening weekend just in North America. Just saying. The budget, which shot up as a result of delays caused by the pandemic last year, was about $110 million. So that's in traditional Sony fare. They do manage to keep the budget fairly reasonable. There is some good news, though. A 72% drop is better than Joker Folie à Deux's 81% drop, and the Marvel's 78% drop. It still opens significantly less than those, however, and it is still considerably worse than Madame Web, 61%. So it took an even bigger drop than Madame Web. I think the song is almost finished being written of the failure of Kraven the Hunter. A movie that for almost 2 years, I believed in. I believed in Kraven. I believed, you know what? They got a much better director than they did for Morbius and Madame Web. They got a much better writer for Morbius and Madame Web. Aaron Taylor Johnson signed up. He's kind of got his choice of projects that he wants to do right now. By the way, he's coming up in 28 years later. Looks really good in that. And I just thought, and it's just, this is going to be the next Venom rather than the next Morbius. Boy, was I wrong.
Below Morbius, right? You think it's below it?
My goodness. One of the absolute worst pieces of cinematic crap I have ever seen. And it looks like people took my advice when I said, don't even bother. Don't even go hate watch it. Don't even watch it like you'd watch a car accident happening on the highway on YouTube late at night on Wham Bam Tesla Cam or whatever name of that channel is. It's just so bad. And the misery continues. I expect it to be on streaming by lunch.
I wish it was tomorrow or something.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be on streaming by like lunchtime. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kraven, you think it opened bad? It said, yeah, it can't get any worse than this. And Kraven said, hold my beer. Wait till you see our second weekend. It drops out of the top 5, drops over 70%, and makes just $3 million in its second weekend. How much lower can the story get? Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, there's a He-Man movie coming.
Yes.
I'm going to admit, I still have my apprehensions about it. I do. I mean, I've thought for a long time, though, the right adaptation of a He-Man movie, like Christian would say, like, if you did He-Man that was Lord of the Rings crossed with Star Wars, you could have something really good. I mean, maybe not completely faithful to the original cartoon, but that's not what's important. That you give us a good movie. But you know what? They've done some casting recently. Miri Shavavaz, the guy who's playing He-Man.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know his name. I can't remember his name.
I don't either.
But he was in that one romantic comedy movie on Netflix or something. That was pretty good. He was all right in that. Then they went and got the girl from Riverdale to play Tila.
Yeah. Slam.
Then they got Allison Brie.
See, that's the best casting so far.
That's the best one so far. Then they went and got Allison Brie to play Evelyn.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a really big Allison Brie fan, actually. I've loved her ever since Community. I think she's great. I think she's going to be great in this. Well, now we got our Skeletor.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Academy Award winning actor.
Academy.
Jared Leto has secured the role of Skeletor in the upcoming He-Man Masters of the Universe movie. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, who wrote the following. They said this: the list of villains cast for Amazon's MGM Studio Mattel Films live action take on Masters of the Universe now includes Jared Leto, Sam C. Wilson, Hafthor Bjornsson, and Kojo Ada. Leto will play Skeletor. Wilson is to fill the role of Trapjaw. Bjornsson will play Goatman.
Goldman?
And Atta nab the role of Triclops. They join Alison Brie as Evelyn, Skeletor's second in command. Previously announced hero roles include Nicholas Galzantine Sasafafa as He-Man, Camila Mendez as Tila, and Idris Elba as Duncan, Man-at-Arms. All right.
You know, you pronounced it correctly, right?
I know.
And he still just was like I have no idea.
Completely perfect. I don't know what any of you guys are talking about. Anyway. So, I'm going to say something here that is going to be unpopular, and I don't give a shit because it's always lonely being right. This is a good casting. Sorry. You go cry about it all you want. This is a good casting. Jared Leto is a phenomenal actor. You may not like all the roles he's had. You may not like the way the director wanted his characters to be at times. Jared Leto is an Academy Award winning actor. And he's great at what he does. And I actually think when you bring that level of talent to this, does that automatically mean it's going to be great? No. Now you can say, well, yeah, but he was Morbius. Matt Smith was in Morbius too. Are you going to say Matt Smith isn't a great actor? Yeah, the project sucked. Didn't matter who you put in that movie. That movie was going to suck. Jared Leto is a really, really good actor.
And I don't think he was all that bad in 2049. In Blade Runner?
No, actually, he was great in 2049. Yeah. He was really good in that.
Why did people rip him apart for that movie?
No, it's become a like such an easy thing to be like, Jared Leto, what a joke. It's like, I thought he was fine in 2049. I thought he was fine in Tron. What are you gonna do?
I mean, we're going to see him in Tron, right? Like, we'll see how that turns out. Of course, for those of you who might have missed that, there's a new Tron
Or
movie coming out.
Tron, I should say.
And
Find for Tron.
he's in Tron. He's going to be leading in the new Tron, so we'll see if that's any good or not. But listen, the bottom line is, you want to go out and get talent. Now, no matter who you cast, that doesn't change the script. If the script's not good, the script's not good.
Right.
Actors don't change the script. Actors don't write the dialogue, they speak. And then they take the instructions from the director and try to bring the instructions from the director to as much life as they can and take the director's vision and bring it to life as best as they, as an individual actor, can. That's all an actor can do.
Right.
It's a huge task. That's all they can do. And like, I'll have this argument with anybody who wants to step up and have it with me. Jared Leto is a very good actor. He's not always in the best stuff. He's not always given the best roles, but he's a tremendous talent. And that's why there's an Oscar on his mantle and there's not one on mine. Now, here's the thing. One of our viewers,
will he do it?
One of our
You
viewers,
think he will?
Raymond Verrata, one of our live viewers, actually wrote in before the show started and said,
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if he'll do the classic laugh from the cartoon.
He's going to do the Joker laugh.
God, I hope not.
He's going to reprise his Joker laugh.
It might be a version of that. I don't.
The thing is that he's kind of become like the Johnny Depp, where he takes these he takes these like really like over the top roles, but that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, it's just that
Johnny Depp never stopped being a really good actor.
Yeah.
He just started being in a lot of bad movies.
where there were over the top characters he was playing.
One thing I ask is, I hope he makes this his own. Of course, get influence, but also, you know what? The more you imitate something, the more it seems less genuine.
Yeah, exactly. He should not do the animated version Skeletor.
No.
He should not. He-Man. He should not do that. Like was it Frank Langella who played Skeletor?
Yes.
Right. Frank Langella, when he played Skeletor opposite Dolph Lundgren, he made it his own. Right? He just made it his own. And I mean, it's not like that movie was good, but still, he took the character and made it his own. I think you're right, Ray. I think that's what Jared Leto's got to do. Him and the director have to decide what they want this Skeletor to be and not try to imitate the 1980s cartoon Skeletor.
In a way, I'm kind of torn whether this movie is going to be more cartoony or will they actually lean into like a more real
Lord of the Rings cross Star Wars. Yeah.
I was always terrified of Skeletor as a kid, and even Mumra from the Thundercats. The looks is more important to me than like the voice.
Yeah, what's the design of Skeletor going to be in this movie in live action? That's key.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is a great pick. His height might be a problem, but the kid that they
isn't tremendously tall,
so it's fine.
So again, I think you're right though. The design of Skeletor in live action is going to be key.
Yeah.
Like, how good do they make it look? And listen, Jared Leto being in this movie, I'm not saying guarantees this is going to be a good movie. Not at all. Not at all. Who knows? But again, adding significant acting talent is never a bad idea.
Do we know if this is even going to hit theaters? I mean,
yes. They've said it's theatrical. So
and the Voltron one too.
Yep.
All right.
So these are all going to be theatrical, and we'll see if they're good. Just like I thought Kraven might be good.
You jinx.
We saw how that turned out.
This whole thing up now.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I know there's going to be some pretty strong feelings about it, but I'll stand by it. I think it's a good casting choice, and we'll see if it works. How do you feel about Jared Leto being Skeletor in the new Masters of the Universe movie? Maybe you're not even interested in the Masters of the Universe movie anyway. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to this, shall we? Well, a couple of movies opened up this weekend that I had some significant interest in seeing both. One more than the other, but one of them was Mufasa. That opened, did pretty well globally.
Yeah.
Not great domestically. Like domestically, it opened to like $35 million, but globally it opened to over $120 million. So that movie's already made $120 million at the end of its first 3 days. So that's not bad. But the other one was Sonic, which was frankly, I mean, it's all interpretive. It's all up to your opinion and it's subjective and everything. But I watched Sonic and Mufasa back to back on the same day. Sonic was the better movie. I really enjoyed Sonic. I don't think it's the best of the Sonic movies, but I had a really good time with it. Thoroughly charming, thoroughly entertaining, had a great time. And it opened, according to reports, to $60 million. So there's differing. We'll see what the final number is tomorrow, but it's somewhere between 60 and $62 million. As according to this in Variety, box office, Sonic 3 speeds to $60 million debut. Mufasa the Lion King gets trampled with $35 million, while Kraven looks at that $35 million and goes, I'll take it. Now, the unfortunate thing, though, is that means this Sonic movie did something that I didn't think it would do. Because of how good the last couple of Sonic movies have been, I kind of thought that the third Sonic movie would have the biggest opening of the franchise so far. And it didn't. It made about 10 million less than what Sonic 2 did on its opening weekend. If we take a look at these numbers, the first Sonic opened to $58 million. I love that. I don't know why. I love Jim Carrey with that hair in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good that he went bald later in the films, but I kind of like that. Anyway, then the second one opened to $72 million. And now the third one opened to 62. Again, strong start. Very good start. Just a little bit disappointing that it opened less than the second one.
I got a counter to that because I was researching what Sonic 2 opened against, and it came out April 8th of 2022. It opened against Ambulance. That's it, the Michael Bay movie. That's not even anything that's like Sonic. And then 2 weeks later, you had Fantastic Beasts, but Morbius came out the week before, and that was it for that month. So maybe the lack of choices may have given that a higher.
Okay, I'll counter that.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you if Mufasa made $80 million. But not many people went to go see Mufasa.
Right.
Wicked is in its 5th week. Moana 2's in its 4th week. They made 13 and 13 respectively. So it's not like there was all these other movies that ate up all the box office dollars this week.
Okay.
There was still a lot of business to be taken.
Nonetheless, I'm ecstatic with these numbers.
I think it's good. I think it's solid.
Yeah, I thought over 60 would be a good number. So I'm happy. Let's hope it gets the 600 I want.
Yeah.
The 600.
But can we now, well, all of you guys who kept arguing with me for the last few months,
the billion.
insisting that Sonic was going to be a $1 billion film, can we now look at these numbers and all agree that no, it won't?
No.
And that's fine. It doesn't need to be a $1 billion film to be hugely successful.
So you're okay with the flop? Okay, cool.
So you're saying flopping's okay,
Yeah,
John?
that's all right.
That's essentially what you're saying.
Not $1 billion, it's a flop.
Yeah, but again, a strong opening for it, a $62 million opening. And I think it's going to have legs because like I said, even though it's not my favorite of the Sonic films, forget that for a second. On its own, in its own merits, Sonic 3 is a wonderful little film. It's a great experience to go watch. It's a very entertaining couple of hours. And I think people are going to come out smiling and having a good time. And I think it's going to have some decent repeat business like the previous ones did. And I think it'll have some pretty decent word of mouth as well. So I think this thing can still get to $500 million.
Yeah.
I still think this can still be a $500 million movie.
Take your kids to go see it. It's a good time.
It's a blast. It's a really good time.
Very innocent and yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, granted, it didn't have as big of an opening as the second Sonic movie, but it still opens to $60+ million, which ain't bad. That's pretty strong. How big do you think it can end up being? Did you see the film? Did you enjoy it? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, we're coming close to the end of the year here. Next week will be New Year's.
Oh.
And, and as a part of coming close to the end of the year, awards season is around. We've been talking a lot about awards season. A lot of the various nominations have come out and all that kind of stuff. But we can now start to, with some finality, start to look at the box office results of the year. And something came across my social feed that I thought was kind of an interesting. It's a very specific number, but it's interesting nonetheless. This year, 2024, well, 2023 and 2024, will mark, now get this, this is very specific, but it's still pretty interesting. The first time in box office history that for 2 years in a row, the number one film at the box office is a female-led movie. And one of those years, 3 of the top 5 movies at the box office that year were led by female characters. Of course, last year, 2023, the number one film in the world was Barbie. I mean, by significant margin. This year, in the US movie market, 3 of the top 5 movies domestically are going to end up as being female character led. As we go over and take a look at it, obviously Inside Out 2 is leading the way. It's going to be the number one movie of the year worldwide. Then number 3 is Wicked. And then number 5 is Moana. First time ever. Again, it's a weird stat, at least the one that was sent to me. If you guys can fact check that and tell me if it was wrong, but from the information that got fed to me, first time ever, 2 years back-to-back female-led movies, with one of those years having 3 of the top 5 being led by female characters. Now, I want to talk about what that number means and what it does not mean. All right? What does it mean and what does it not mean when you have 2 years back-to-back where a female-led character movie leads the box office and 3 out of the top 5 are all female-led characters? Let's start with what it does not mean. What it does not mean is that female-led movies will do better than male-led movies. That's not what this means at all. Any more than Kraven being the suck-assiest of all the asses movies almost ever made means that, well, if you have a male-led movie, that means it'll suck. Not at all. So I just want to make sure we make clear that the meaning we should not be deriving from this statistic is that it means female-led movies will do better than male-led movies. That is not the takeaway from this. But I'll tell you what it does give us, what the takeaway is. The takeaway is this. If you make a good movie that puts its finger on the pulse of the cultural zeitgeist, whether it's male-led, female-led, white, black, Asian, whatever, your movies can do well. That's the meaning to take away from this. Because there's still a segment of a cancerous segment of the movie fan community that wants you to believe that, and we hear it all the time. I see it in our comments section every day, that if you go out with a female-led movie, it's going to bomb. What's the famous saying everybody say? Go woke, go broke. Ooh, go, ooh.
Have yet to see it.
I've yet to see that pan out. The meaning we take away from it then is, again, not that, oh, do female-led movies, they'll do better than male-led movies. That is clearly not the message. But the message is that you're an idiot if you believe that, oh, if you lead out a movie with anything other than straight white men, they can't possibly succeed. Well, they can. Doesn't mean they will. It doesn't mean they won't. It just means they can. And I think it's interesting that we got a statistic like this, that in back-to-back years, both number one movies, and in this year, 3 of the top 5. Again, all that means, and all that we should take away from it, but what that we should strongly take away from it, is that all of us can find appeal in good stories, regardless if the person on screen is our gender or our ethnicity. People of other ethnicities have been watching great, classic, wonderful, fantastic Hollywood movies with, Caucasian white male leads. And even though it's not a part of their ethnic tradition or background, they're able to find the beauty and the art of it and the excitement of it and the greatness of those movies. Just like me as a white guy, I can sit down and watch Wicked and love it. And it feels strange that that even has to be said. Especially in 2024, it just feels strange that that's something that has to be said out loud. But when you read the social medias and you read the comment sections every day, it does need to be said. And it needs to be pointed out strongly. So anyway, again, I think it's a fascinating statistic, but it's also important that, like any statistic or any number that we get put in front of us, any empirical piece of data that's put in front of us, it's important that we take away the right message from it. And the message here is not that, well, male-led movies can't succeed. Yes, they can. Absolutely, as much as anything. But it means that it doesn't have to just be that in order to make money, be huge, and be successful. And so, and that next year, I don't know, maybe Wicked 2 is the #1 movie next year. I doubt it, considering Avatar is coming out next year. That's probably going to be the #1 movie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to hijack this, but Twisters was number 8. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Just
Okay.
domestically.
Just-
Yes,
just goes to
domestically.
show
but
you-
still, that's good. That's good.
Twisters was number 8.
Just goes to
domestically.
show you
Yes, it
that
was.
really fast wind has just a strong a place
Because
in
it's in my
society
top
as
5
anyone
this year.
else.
It's in my top 5.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought as we got to the end of the year, somebody threw that statistic at me, and I just thought it was really interesting. And I thought it should be mentioned here. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think how this is going to trend into next year? Again, of course, we got Wicked 2 coming out. I don't think we're going to get that as the #1 film next year because we got a new Avatar movie coming out next year. That's going to be the #1 film next year. But anyway, whatever you guys think about that, jump down to the comments below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's kind of stick on the topic of box office here for a moment, shall we? You know, it was like a gut punch followed by an uppercut to the movie industry when you had the pandemic. And then just as everything was getting fully back to normal, the crippling actors and writers strikes happened. And it shut the whole industry down again, and it kind of crippled the business again in ways that it still hasn't recovered. But here's an interesting little note. According to Deadline, Disney has made $5 billion at the box office this year, the first time a studio has hit that number since the pandemic hit. The first time it's hit that number since the pandemic hit. They go on to write this. They said, after becoming the first studio of 2024 to hit $2 billion at the domestic box office earlier this week, Disney has now claimed a new milestone. Based on today's estimates, the Walt Disney Studios has crossed $5 billion globally. The total worldwide estimate is $5.06 billion. Of that, $2.054 billion comes from North America and $3.006 billion from the international box office. Per Disney, it will be the only studio to cross this threshold in 2024. It is also the first time that any studio has surpassed the $5 billion worldwide since 2019. For those keeping score, this is the 6th time that Disney has grossed more than $5 billion globally since 2010. All right.
But that one investor said they were doomed.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the guy said, Cravensworth said they were done. Of course, his real name is Perlmutter, but I call him Cravensworth. And then, we're in a terrible place. Oh, we're doomed. Yeah, we had made $5 billion, first studio to do it since the pandemic.
And they released some bangers this year. I really like the Apes movie, and then also Romulus was really good.
And then, of course, the two big ones. You got Inside Out 2, which is the biggest film of the year. Deadpool and Wolverine, which is, I think, the second biggest film of the year. Yeah. Moana's crossing $800 million today. So they've had like a really good year. Now, here's why I think this is significant. Okay. Obviously, that's really good for Disney. So good for them. And if any of the studios were going to lead the way out of the darkness of trying to emerge from that double whammy of pandemic and strike era, it was probably going to be Disney. And sure enough, they came through and delivered a sixth time in the company's history that they've delivered a $5 billion at the box office year. Now, here's the thing. This is why I think this is pretty key. There's a saying that's been going around the movie industry and the theatrical industry for about 6 months. And my own business manager has just constantly echoed this to me. Survive to 25. That's been this mantra going around the industry. Survive to 25. Because the whole industry has really believed that the emerging out of the darkness of the pandemic and strikes whammies was really going to start to emerge from that the end of this year and especially going into next year. A very large, robust, diverse, massive release slate is coming out in 2025. Remember, a lot of this year was kind of hampered. A lot of the releases got pushed out because of the strikes and all that kind of thing. So the whole mantra of the industry has been survive to 2025, survive to 25, because the implication of that is things are going to get a lot better in 2025. Well, I got to admit, I've kind of dismissed that whole saying, but seeing Disney being able to accomplish this, seeing the box office numbers, particularly that we had in the second half of 2024, because remember, the first half of 2024 started slow, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in the first half of 2024, a lot of people very reasonably were kind of sounding the alarms and saying, is the movie industry dead? Then remember, we had movies like Furiosa flop hard. We had movies like Fall Guy flop hard. We had a significant number of disappointments. And in the first half of the year, there was a lot going on that made a lot of people go, I wonder if this whole thing's done. Second half of the year really turned it around. And now we're getting into that place where everybody's been saying survive to 25.
Yep.
And there is something, like I said earlier, that's kind of appropriate about Disney being the one that's kind of leading everybody out. But I mean, other studios have had massive successes this year as well, right? When you're looking at things like Wicked and stuff like that, there have been some big hits. It's done well. They seem to survive. And now we'll see what kind of numbers we can get going into 25. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Disney becomes the first studio since 2019, when the pandemic struck, that has hit the $5 billion mark in one box office year. Do you think that's going to carry momentum for it and other studios going into 2025 with the whole survive to 25? There's a huge long list of big movies coming out in 25. We got to do our most anticipated movies of 2025 next week, I think.
Yeah.
Before the new year hits.
I agree.
So anyway, how do you feel about this, guys? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of the future and Disney, a lot of people are very excited that X-Men movies are finally coming. We've had some very subtle and short introduction to some X-Men characters. Of course, we had, one Patrick Stewart's version of Professor X pop up in Doctor Strange. We've had Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine. We had that one shot of Beast at the end of the Marvels. X-Men are coming. Not imminently. We just still don't know where we're getting our first bona fide X-Men film, but the X-Men are coming. And now, according to a report, Stranger Things breakout star Sadie Sink may be in line to be our new Jean Grey for the next 10 to 15 years. This comes to us from Men's Journal, who wrote this. According to Hollywood tipster and sometimes guest on our show, our friend Jeff Snyder, Sadie Sink is the quote-unquote frontrunner to play a new version of Jean Grey. This will be the first time Jean Grey has been introduced into the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the rumors suggest that certain members of the X-Men could appear in upcoming Marvel movies very soon, even before a proper X-Men movie reboot has started filming. As Snyder puts it, Marvel's X-Men movie doesn't have a director yet, but could some members of the team be introduced prior to that? And then he went on to mention that Sadie Sink was leading the way right now, anyway, to be a Jean Grey. All right. Here's a couple of things that we can kind of take away from this. If true, and listen, I need to point out, Jeff is a friend of ours, but I still need to be objective and point out he's been wrong a couple of times, right? He's also broken some of the biggest scoops of the last couple of years have come from Jeff Snyder. But just to be objective and to be fair, he's also missed on a couple of them. So I just want to throw that out there, although he is one of the more reliable guys out there, is Jeff. So let's take for a second that Jeff is right and Sadie Sink is going to be, see if you can pull up a picture of Sadie there. Yeah. So this is the one from Stranger Things. That Sadie Sink is going to be the new Jean Grey. Okay. My first takeaway from this is this gives us a bit of an inclination about what the age range of the new X-Men are going to be. Because there's been some conversation about hey, they're going to start the new X-Men. Are they going to be in their early 30s already? Will they already be a veteran team? Will it be a first class kind of thing? Will they be really young? Maybe they'll be young-ish, all that kind of stuff. I think if this is true, and we're just going on the assumption that it is just for the sake of the conversation, if it is true and Sadie Sink is our new Jean Grey, this gives us a little bit of insight, because I don't think we're going to get a Hugh Jackman Wolverine sparking up a romance with young Sadie Sink. I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to have a 39-year-old Scott Summers going, hey, what's up, little girl? I don't think we're going to get that. I
Come
think
to the school often.
I think what this tells us is we're going to get a more age. It gives us a sense of the age range that we're going to get. Younger. Sure. I don't think they're going to say she's 14.
No.
In it, but
I'm curious about. I'll look up her age. Just out of
how old Sadie is.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to say she's like early 20s.
Okay.
That's my guess. I don't know how old she actually is. She might be like 17, 19, but I think they're going to say early 20s. Oh, guys in the live chat are saying she's 22 years old.
All right. So yeah, around that age.
Yeah.
Late teens, early 20s.
Yeah. So
22,
it looks to me like what they're doing is, if this report turns out to be true, and we can't independently verify that it is, but if it is true, then it looks like they're trying to set themselves up that they, like that original run of X-Men with Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry, they're trying to set up where they can put together an X-Men team that they can have together for 15 or 20 years and still play those roles. Not that they will get 15 to 20 years of these characters, but it seems like they're kind of setting it up that they can do it in that direction, which would be good. Now, let's just talk about Sadie for a second. She's great. What was that one little independent film she did recently? Oh my God.
She was in The Sacrifice. She was in The Whale.
The Whale.
Well, The Whale, but then there was another one. The Whale, she was great in The Whale. Then there was another one that I'm thinking of that I'm freezing. Anyway,
A Sacrifice.
So number one, she was great. And she's great in Stranger Things. But I've really liked her in the couple of things. Now, granted, I haven't seen her in a dozen things, but I've really liked her in the things we've seen her in since then as well. She's really good. And listen, as much as I really liked the ex-Mrs. Joe Jonas, the girl from Game of Thrones. Sophie Turner, thank you. As much as I very much liked Sophie Turner in Game of Thrones, I've never felt she was a good casting or a right fit. I never really felt she was the right fit to play Jean Grey moving forward. It's special. I mean, I might have initially maybe thought this could be okay, but especially once I saw her in the role, it's like I think she's a tremendous performer, but this was not the right role from her. I think Sadie Sink could be a really good fit for this. I think she could be a really good fit. And if they do go out and get her, and if they do knock it out of the park, it makes me very excited to see how they'll kind of line up the future of the X-Men as well.
How do you feel about if they did go younger? If they did go younger with the X-Men, I mean,
like Sadie Sink early 20s
as
younger?
in like, they haven't been through at least from the X-Men, the abuse.
Not younger, not the abuse, less but experience.
Yeah. And that they're just it's almost like we're gonna discover them as they discover their powers.
Yeah, I mean
something like that. I don't know.
Here's been the big problem I've had with them bringing in X-Men. Not big problem, but the big worry is that the whole foundation of the X-Men, to even understand the X-Men, you have to understand the cultural context that they're in. They have always lived in and grew up in a world that fears and hates them. With the whole idea of mutants and humanity has been an issue for ages. And they live in a world that lives in that tension.
Right.
And in the famous quote of, of Professor X, they have to fight for a world that fears and hates them. And so I've always kind of been apprehensive about the idea of just starting the X-Men and saying mutations have just started, because you're taking away that foundational context of X-Men storytelling.
Right.
But at the same time, how do you suddenly say that, oh yeah, mutants have been around for a couple of decades, but it's never once been mentioned in the MCU? Maybe that has something to do with multiverse, with something that they'll address with Doomsday or Secret Wars or something. Like they've said, like, for instance, Saturday Morning Fans say, well, they've mentioned Ms. Marvel and no more. Okay, yeah. But that's not a world that has been living with social tension of mutants and humanity for decades. And that is the story underpinning of the classic storytelling of X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And without it, it's just not X-Men.
Well,
So it's going to be really interesting to see how Kevin, and I have all the faith in the world that Kevin Feige will find a way to navigate that. I just don't know how he's going to do it. He'll figure something out.
do you have a preference about like maybe the age that they come in? Because we're dealing with maybe interactions with Robert Downey or Thor, things like that. If they go a little too young, that would be a little weird. If they're supposed to be,
Well, no, we already listen. If it is Sadie Sink, she's 22, right?
right.
So early 20s is perfectly fine. I have no
Right.
problem with that. I mean, even the MCU has even introduced us to Ms. Marvel. They've introduced us to Kate Bishop. They've introduced so it's kind of on the younger end. My bigger concern is, what is the context of the culture that the X-Men are going to exist in? Is it one where mutants are basically brand new onto the scene and people have never heard of them? Or is it going to be a world where there's been a constant tension about, do humans trust mutants? And do mutants trust humanity? So it's going to be really interesting to see how they navigate that and bring that in. But look, all we know for sure, if Jeff's report is right and Sadie Sink is the one they're looking at for Jean Grey, is that they're bringing in a tremendously talented girl. Tremendously talented.
right?
And I think she could be a great Jean Grey. And it makes me really interested to see how they cast the other characters. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Assume for a moment that the report is correct and they're looking at bringing in Sadie Sink to be the new Jean Grey. Do you like that casting? Did you maybe envision somebody like a more mature woman than that? Maybe you don't believe the report at all. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, last week, what I consider to be, even before it came out, the most important movie trailer in years, the new Superman trailer dropped. And boy, did it go over well. Not only were when you go on YouTube and stuff like that, all the reactions were abundantly positive and all that kind of stuff. And I thought for a first trailer, I thought it was outstanding. Hopefully the movie is too. Maybe it won't be, but the trailer I thought was outstanding. Well, here's one thing I can tell you for absolute certainty. A hell of a lot of people watched it.
Yep.
As according to a new report, the Superman trailer launched to over 250 million views in the first 24 hours, which makes it the largest trailer ever for DC and Warner Brothers as a whole. Think about that for a second. Think about the long history of Warner Brothers. This Superman trailer ended up being the biggest trailer drop in the history of that studio, which includes DC. That means all the DCEU movies and all that kind of stuff by a mile. Superman became the biggest trailer watch ever for those two studios. As a matter of fact, not only is it the biggest trailer drop ever for DC and the biggest trailer drop ever for Warner Brothers, it became the 5th biggest movie trailer drop in the history of cinema. You want to know what's ahead of it? Here are the films that are ahead of it. The Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, which became the most viewed trailer of all time, and that movie just went on to become the highest grossing R-rated film ever. The Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, that movie went on to make almost $2 billion. The Avengers Endgame first teaser, it was ahead of Superman. That movie went on to become almost a $3 billion film. The Avengers Endgame official trailer, the one that came after the teaser, is ahead of it. And then Superman. Superman, which got more views in the first 24 hours than the trailers for Lion King 2019, which was a $1 billion film. More trailer views than Avengers Infinity War, which went on to be nearly $2 billion film. More trailer views than Thor, which made over $700 million. More than Fast 9 and Fast 8. The others in the top 10. Came the 5th biggest one in history. Now, here's what I want to put in context. Does a movie getting a lot of views of its trailer mean it's going to get a huge box office automatically? No. But I do want you to remember this. Superman is now in the top 5 of the most trailer views ever in the first 24 hours. Every other film that's in the top 5 has made over $1, $2, or close to $3 billion. I'm just giving you a stat. I'm just giving you a fact. You interpret that fact. You take away from that fact whatever you want. I'm just saying that being in the top 5 of the most watched trailers ever initially, all the other films in the top 5 are all $1 billion plus films. Now, I still do not believe that Superman will be $1 billion film. Right? It's still got too many things working against it. But, somebody was saying in the live chat before the show started, I was interacting with a little bit, saying, trailer views don't mean anything. Well, actually, when you look at the numbers, it kind of does mean something. Because there isn't a single film, when you go down the top 10 even, there's not a single film on that list that isn't a massive box office hit. And
it just comes down to quality.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
and James Gunn's track record has been very good. So
well, James Gunn's track record has been impeccable.
Yeah.
On Saturday morning, I usually watch stuff, but the whole morning I spent watching just reactions to this trailer. The demographic that I saw was like very wide, and that gives me hope that this can make $1 billion. I mean, I have it at 800, the highest, but I wouldn't be so shocked if it made $1 billion. Just from the amount of different types of people that were loving this trailer. At least opening night will probably be a big night for this movie.
Well, maybe. Again, I still think there's a lot of people who have given up on DC. I still think there's a lot of people who are going to be mad that it's not my boy Henry Cavill anymore.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a lot of people who are still like kind of over the fact they went to see the last 4 DCEU movies and maybe didn't like them. I'm still thinking the ceiling is going to be like in the Thor Love and Thunder range, like a $700 million, something like that. I think that'll be and I think, listen, I've said before and I stand by it. If Superman makes $400 to $500 million, they pop bottles. They're going to be super happy because the important thing, as I've said this a million times, the important thing about Superman being the first new movie of the DCU is not that it makes a lot of money. Not at all. The important thing about Superman is that it sets up the future movies to all make money. And to do that, it's got to be a movie that people love. It's got to be a movie that the critics love, the audiences love, people get excited about it, and it starts to change people's opinions about DC properties on the big screen. If Superman accomplishes that and makes $400 to $500 million, they are thrilled because it means that the future movies will make even more. And that's why they're excited. Now, look, this is a very, very good sign for this movie. It's a sign that there is massive, massive interest in this movie.
Absolutely.
Way more than even I thought it would be. I thought a lot of people would watch this trailer. I'll be honest with you. This is like double the number that I thought it would be. I thought it would have like over 100 million views in the first 24 hours. 250 million views. More than watched the Avengers Infinity War trailer when it dropped. And that trailer nearly broke the internet. The internet's much more capable today, but still, I mean, this is crazy, these numbers.
Tell me how important was that John Williams song in that trailer?
It was big.
If you put any other song, I don't think I would have watched the trailer. There's a part, it's just the beginning where that hits and you realize it's the theme music. It just makes me want to just keep watching it over and over again. I mean,
if they put other music in it that was also awesome, I still think it would be great. But it was a very good choice to have that. Like that like electric guitar, again, very Top Gun-esque.
Yeah.
But that electric guitar playing the single notes of the John Williams theme, like it's like, oh, like it was, and then it does that shift into the score music. And
people would get the feels from all the reactions I was getting.
All the feels.
The same. Yeah, I felt the same way.
And again, I gotta reiterate this. I apologize to everybody out there who was a crypto defender. When they first announced that Crypto the Superdog was going to be in it, I wasn't overly enthusiastic about it. And then the more I thought about it, I kind of started to hate it. And I thought that might be that's a bridge too far, bringing in the dog. Nope, I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. When he whistles and that it looks like a freight train is plowing through the snow, you see, I started getting chills. And then Crypto pops up. I'm like, fuck. I am so wrong about this. This is going to be so good in this movie.
I am glad that they just showed him running and not flying. I think that would have pushed people like, that's kind of weird, this dog flying.
That's a great choice that they did do that. I always thought my problem with Superman was always the relatability of
the
him,
character.
right?
I think that's the big challenge for a lot of people.
And he kind of, James Gunn, by bringing Crypto in, we saw our dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
And that's exactly what connected with me. I was like, that's where Clark or Superman being an alien, it actually made him more human. That at that time where he's in
having
despair,
Crypto makes Superman more human. You're right.
It comforted him. Like Crypto came and he's like, Crypto, like just the way he said his voice, like I could picture myself in like my dying bed if seeing my dog and calling its name, right? Like going, all right, and having that much joy too. So that worked for me. James Gunn was very smart. I don't know if he heard us whenever we talked about it and how I always used to complain that I couldn't get on board with Superman because I couldn't relate to him or his problems because he could do everything.
Yeah.
But this trailer eliminated all that. I feel this is going to be a way different Superman, maybe a better Superman, the best Superman since Christopher.
I mean, that right now let's not step too much. That's Henry Cavill.
But Henry Cavill was a great Man of Steel. That's how I separate them.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. You just pointed out something too about the fact that one of the reasons it's hard to relate with Superman is the fact that he can do everything. Like he's basically a god, right?
He's like Hulk.
And that's why it surprised me, but I loved the decision to start that trailer with him beaten and broken and falling to the ground and needing help. Again, the classic problem with making Superman relatable, with telling good stories around him, was that he is Superman. And that's why starting the trailer with him clearly he's just gone 10 rounds and hitting the snow and calling for Crypto. I've seen some people complain, that's not my Superman. Superman should start from a position of strength. I get that. I do. But if you actually understand the challenges that have faced anybody trying to tell Superman stories lately, them starting with that shot was a strategic decision. And I think the absolute right decision, because right away, it just with the dog, with everything else, with him making choices and stuff like that, it just makes him feel like a much more relatable Superman than we've had a lot of lately.
And even that shot with his pops, where he's actually looks like he's feeling for whatever
he's hurting.
Pops is going through. So Clark Kent is equally as important to me as the Superman character. Like I want to see that side of Clark that we never got from Henry.
Obviously. Well, we never got a chance.
Yeah, we never got a chance. Yeah. That's why we wanted Man of Steel too, to see that. But yeah, I hope to see more of the Clark, the humanity in Superman in this. I have a good feeling about this movie.
Yeah, listen, James Gunn, I think he's going to crush this. I really do. But again, I am surprised of just how popular this trailer was.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a big trailer. I didn't think it was going to be this big.
When we came in and he said, "You haven't seen it?" I watched it like 50 or 60 times. Yeah. I was like, that's just John's excitement. In my head, I was like, that's just him being excited about something he's looking forward to. This Saturday, I think I watched it as many times as that too.
Yeah. And clearly I think a lot of people did. So
I'm actually sick of watching it now. Like now when I see like anything on YouTube, I'm like, I can't watch this again. I'm like so full on sugar. I'm just done.
I'm just so full on sugar. Listen, and this wasn't even the real trailer yet.
Yeah.
There was the only dialogue in this trailer was Crypto, home, take me home. Yeah. That's it. That's the only dialogue we got, and that's fine for a first trailer. I cannot wait for the next trailer. When we actually get some dialogue, when we start to get a picture of the story. That's going to be even more important. But again, guys, wrap your heads around, in the century-long history of Warner Brothers, this is the biggest debut for anything ever Warner Brothers has put out and anything ever DC related. It is the 5th biggest trailer launch in history, only behind films that are all in the billion-dollar club. Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, Avengers Endgame, and another Avengers Endgame one. You just cannot underestimate how big of a deal this is. This is huge for it.
It's great.
Does that mean it'll be a good movie? Absolutely not. Big trailer numbers does not mean it's going to be a good movie. I just believe it's going to be a good movie because James Gunn is doing it.
It also shows really positive interest in the theater industry. Forward projection.
Yeah,
so.
Again, survive to 25.
Yeah.
And this is going to be one of those. So guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The Superman trailer, a movie that I think is going to have some significant challenges at the box office when it does come out, even though I still think it'll be big, has just become the biggest trailer release ever for the history of any DC movie and any Warner Brothers film, and the 5th biggest trailer drop in history. What do you think about that? Maybe you don't think it means anything at all. Maybe you think it means everything. Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
It's not even survived till 25 anymore. It's survived till July.
Survived to, well, listen, we got Captain America, we got Thunderbolt, and we got stuff coming out before that.
Yeah, true.
All right. With that down, guys, I said we got no sponsor breaks this week because we told the sponsors no sponsorships Christmas week. So we're going to roll right in to your live comments and questions.
Right.
Let's get things going here. Jonathan, what we got?
Pulling a rock over here. Don't mind my bottles. Dak Chat says, do you know if there's any way to get AMC or maybe Regal to give you a physical stub as a receipt? I saved mine and my daughter's from IF, and I realized when it came up on the show how many others I wish I would have or could have saved.
It's the answer is simple. If they won't do it. Like if you go up to the box office, I can't remember the last time I went to the box office, but if you go to the box office and buy your ticket, you'll get a stub. Other than that, here's what you do. You go to Best Buy, you buy like a $50 printer or something along those lines, right? Something like that. And then what you do is you go into my AMC. Let's like say for me, it's AMC. So like there you can see I got my Nosferatu ticket there.
Oh, look at you.
Just so get your like $50 printer. Then you open up one of your old tickets, like say this one, and just screenshot it and print it.
Right.
And then cut out the printing and put it in your scrapbook. I mean, it's going to be honestly a lot easier for you to do that way than try to convince a movie theater, why should we print you something? Like we're moving away from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just if you got A-List, Regal, whatever, just take a screenshot of your digital ticket, print it out and add it to that scrapbook. I think that's the best way forward. All right, what's next?
Michael says, let's hope for a super and fantastic year for comic book movies or films in Brave New World of 2025. Give the box office a thunderbolt of energy. All kinds of puns.
Nice.
I gotta tell you. Thunderbolts is actually one of my most anticipated movies.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm actually more excited for it than I am for Captain America 4.
Me too.
I'm more excited for it than I am for Fantastic Four. I'm getting real, and this was a movie that at first I'm like, why are you doing Thunderbolts? And now I'm totally excited about it. I don't know how big it's going to be at the box office, to be honest with you, but I think the movie's going to be great. I'm really excited for it.
The best part about it is I'm on the fence about a lot of the characters that are in it. I'm hoping this movie cements my fandom for a couple of them, not just one. Like I become a bigger fan for like, let's say Walmart Captain America. Yeah. I love him right now, but you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
All right, what's next?
Edna from The Incredibles says, I don't know how no one has noticed the huge plot point that was shown in the trailer. Lex is pissed when he sees Soups flying outside the window. You can see his face. I thought I killed him. Opening scene, they think. Time to call in the Big Bic. The Dig Bic. I get what they did there. I mean, that...
Everybody talked about that shot.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a big plot giveaway. I mean, clearly he sees Superman, he's pissed.
Yeah.
Whether Superman is just being there and that pisses him off, whether Superman is flying off to stop something that he's trying to do, or whether Superman got away from something that he set him up. I mean, Everybody did catch that. Everybody talked about it. And I don't know that that's a big plot giveaway at all. Like, it didn't tell us what it is. Now, maybe we'll find out what the circumstances of that shot are in the next trailer, and then we'll see.
There's only one thought I had on Superman. You know when he flies up and you see like the fire beneath him, or like he's flying? He's isn't he? I think he's holding that kid that was asking for like
it's
before.
Hard. Yeah, is it her or is it him or was it because we see him holding.
That's the only thing that I.
You make a good point though. We see him holding Lois, and then they cut to a different scene through the fire, so we assume that's Lois, but it could have been someone else.
It could have been the little girl or something.
Still in the opening.
All right, what's next?
Yeah. Could have been the little girl because there is fire from
again,
the kaiju.
I said this before. I believe every single shot. I said this the minute that trailer dropped. I think every single shot in that trailer is from like the first 30 to 40 minutes of the film.
Yeah, they're just filming the rest now.
No, they're done. They're wrapped. All right, what's next?
Andrew, the two-parter, says, John, I apologize. Yesterday, I wrote a comment about Lois's looks in Superman trailer and got you mad. I didn't mean the actress herself. I meant the way that she's dressed on screen in long pants, bulky shoes. I thought Gunn was going for a more 90s animated series look. I just had a different image of costuming in mind. Meant no offense. I'm sure Rachel will crush the role.
I don't think I remember hearing anything about James Gunn saying he was going to go for a 90s aesthetic. I mean, unless there was something said and I missed it, and that's totally possible. I mean, I don't hear every comment and clip that comes from every filmmaker, but I don't think that was ever in there. I mean, I thought she looked like a newspaper reporter.
All right.
I mean, she didn't look like a Vogue model walking down the runway. She looked like a hard-nosed, no-nonsense, sarcastic, smarmy, Lois Lane dressed in an office setting. I thought it looked exactly the way I would kind of picture it. Now, again, if you heard something that suggested they were going to go for a 90s aesthetic, then I would get that. But again, I never heard anything at that.
It tells me we're going to get some acting. We're going to get some acting from Lois.
Well, yeah, for sure. She's great.
Right,
then Andrew follows up. I'm also not a fan of the Superman collar, the bulky trunks, or the way the suit buckles on screen. Maybe I'm too passionate about the way these characters are rendered visually. Facepalm. I have such a strong image in my mind of Superman. What do I do?
Here's the problem. Okay, first of all, Superman has had over 50 different variations of his costume in the comic books. Over 50 different variations. Hell, that's an old number. It might be more than 100 now. So everybody's going to have their vision of my Superman, right? I mean, I have one. Everybody's got one, I'm sure. But you got to understand there is, even when it comes to the comics, there is no one look of Superman. Again, I go back to this comment all the time, but when Superman Returns was coming out, and they were promoting it at Comic-Con, and one of the people in the audience asked the director, "Why did you change the Superman costume?" To which the director said, "Changed from what?"
Yeah.
At that point, he said there have been over 30 variations of the Superman. So when you say changed it from what? Here's the reality. There is no design of the Superman costume they could have put together that people will go, "Oh, that's exactly how I pictured it in my head." I mean, listen, I'm not happy with the red fucking underwear. I hate the red trunks on the outside. I think they're stupid as hell. But whatever. It's part of it's been a part of the collar has been a part of the Superman look in the comic books. The trunks have been a part of the look. The way the boots edge come from one of the comic books. The way the logo is kind of shaped is inspired by the comic books. So there is no one look to Superman. You can say that doesn't look like the Superman costume. Which Superman costume? There have been tons of them in the comic books. So yeah, so I get it. I totally understand because there have been so many variations. You might have one version of it in your head, but that's just one version of a limitless number of combinations. So I think when you actually look at the costume and how every single aspect of it has been influenced by a certain period of Superman, I think it's a pretty good put together. But ultimately all that matters is how does the movie work? Right. It doesn't matter if we like the costume or not. What really matters is does the movie work? And I hate the red underwear, but that's not going to affect my enjoyment of the movie.
It's just been people didn't like the jumpsuits in X-Men, but people will say those are the best comic book movies ever sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just like, you gotta train your brain. We're all going to have a filter on, and you got to train your brain over time to remove that filter and watch things as they are and then kind of break it down and not just have like this one filter that's like, oh, that's the thing I was looking for that I didn't like, therefore the whole thing is like this.
Yeah. You got to listen. It's all of us go into movies with certain expectations, certain theories, certain biases, like all that kind of stuff. We do. But the key is once you get to the door of the movie theater, you got to take all of that stuff and leave it at the door. Then go in, evaluate the movie on its own merits, and then go from there. So, you know,
that's why they drop posters like before the movie, like when they dropped that Iron Man poster, the first one with Robert Downey, and we're like, oh, whatever. Like, or like when we saw Megatron, like Optimus was fine in Michael Bay's film, but Megatron kind of looked off to me, but I accepted it because it was, you know, I had a good time during that movie. We're going to have it the same with Skeletor, Voltron. I'm going to have my biases. We'll see how I handle them.
Yeah.
So,
all right, what's next?
It's going to be weird seeing Trunks on Voltron. DJ Dark says, do you think the issue between Broccoli Family and Amazon is Amazon wants to move to the movie to go to streaming only? I hope not, because I would agree with them. Amazon would be dumb to do that. But if they want a female Bond, they should buy the rights to Perfect Dark 4.
Let me address this for a second. What? I was looking in the comments, like nobody anywhere. Can I be clear about this? And I was clear about this in the video we did last week. Nobody anywhere said Amazon wanted a female Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of said half on me, who knows what the issue between the Broccoli's and Amazon? Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe they want a female Bond, maybe they want that. Like it was just throwing out things that they could. There are so many people now who are running with this idea, even in our own comment section, that, oh, Amazon wants a female Bond. Nobody anywhere on the planet has said that actually knows anything, has said that Amazon wants a female Bond. So can we just put that to rest? I threw that out there as a wild speculation. Nobody from Amazon or the Broccoli's or Daniel Craig or anybody associated with James Bond has ever said they're looking to do a female Bond. Ever. So can people stop complaining that Amazon wants a female Bond? Because nowhere anywhere have they said that. That being said, it still does leave it up as a mystery as to what is the big rift. For those of you who didn't see the show last week, the family that controls James Bond, the Broccoli family, hates Amazon. And Amazon and the Broccoli's are not getting along. And Amazon owns the studio that Bond is at, the MGM. And that's why we haven't gotten any movement yet, because they can't agree on what to do. But we still don't know what's the issue. Now, I can't imagine. Amazon is very, very strict that they want to take their bigger properties to the big screen. So I don't think the dispute between them is the Broccoli's want Bond on the big screen and Amazon wants it straight to streaming. I don't think that's it. But I still don't know what it is. Because there's something big that is making them literally, what is it that Barbara Broccoli said? That was in the quote in the article.
Effing idiots.
Yeah, those people. Yeah, talking about Amazon's. Those people are fucking idiots.
It's got to be big enough that she goes public by saying that.
Well, she didn't think she was going public.
Well, I guess
in her defense, she didn't think she was going public with that.
But says she feels that way.
So, who knows what the issue is? But it is not that Amazon wants a female. Can we please put that to rest? Okay, can we please put that one to rest? Anyway, all right, what's next?
Okay, this is kind of interesting. Andrew's starting to lift that filter. He says, John, I realize why the Superman trailer bothers me so much. It's like DC was sold to Disney, and this is Marvel's Superman. To me, Superman should be a Gone with the Wind style epic with beautiful, elegant. So it's not how I imagine the character. But now that I think of it that way, it helps me accept the tone more. My favorite thing about the trailer, Crypto. I think that little dog's going to be a smash. He's such a good boy. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Listen, if you ask 100 different people, what should the tone of Superman be? I think you're going to get at least 40 different answers. Should be some beautiful sweeping epic. I'd be down for that. But that was not the Christopher Reeves movie. That wasn't the Brandon Routh movie, and it wasn't Henry Cavill's. It was very different from that. And I got to say, I've heard some people say that felt like, when they saw the trailer for Superman, saying that felt like a Marvel movie. Okay. We all have our different perceptions. There was nothing about that trailer that hit me like a Marvel trailer. Like that, nothing about that to me looked like a Marvel movie. Even though James Gunn has done Marvel movies and done DC movies.
I don't even know that it reminded me of Guardians.
But again, it goes to the point of
What makes that bad too?
if you only, and I say this as a film fan about any film, if you're going to approach any movie and your criteria for appreciating it is that it matches what you have in your head about it, you're destined for a pretty miserable life as a film fan, right? Again, we all come with some of that, but we all got to put it aside. Like, I have my theories and thoughts and expectations about what certain movies will do or be, but whether we enjoy those or not, or can appreciate what they're doing, shouldn't be based on how well they match up with what I want in my head. We got to let the artists and the creators do their thing, because there have been some of my favorite movies, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, have been movies that I went in to see and they were nothing like what I had in my head. Right? So sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. We'll see. All right, what's next?
We got Rushmore, who says, "Dear John, I'm so excited for the new Superman movie. I think the large sun-like creator is Solaris, which is a living artificial sun that comes back to the past to kill Superman. This mixed with the Simon Stagg episode of Justice League animated series."
That's not a bad theory. I don't think that's it. But that's not a bad theory, especially since I think that's something that happens probably in the first act of the film. So I'm going to say I disagree, but let's file that one away. Because I don't agree, but it's not a bad theory. Let's see if they hint towards that a little bit more. All right, what's next?
Stephen C says, "Hey, John and crew, I think it's safe for me to say that the new Superman poster is the best Superman poster ever. It's my favorite one. I can't think of a better one. What do you guys think? P.S. I bought it, and it's going next to the Batman red poster. Nice.
Listen, I gotta say, I do love it.
It even has some Star Trek, early Star Trek vibes with that
color
gradient,
streaks, right?
Yeah.
Find one and pull it up so people know what I'm talking about. I think one of my favorite Superman posters ever was the Henry Cavill Man of Steel, when he's like kind of walking down the hallway with soldiers around him.
And
he's in handcuffs.
Wasn't that striking?
That was a powerful image, right? And Henry Cavill is my all-time favorite Superman, and Man of Steel is my favorite Superman movie of all time. That poster, especially I don't know that that'll end up being the final official theatrical poster or not, but that is just a thing of beauty. Like, that's a Superman poster.
Yeah.
Especially when you understand, like, a lot of the whole humbugs around Superman isn't joyful anymore. There's no hope in Superman. There's no awe in Superman anymore. It's just dark and blah, blah, blah. Like that, I think this poster is a complete response to that. And it's gorgeous. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, that is going up on my wall somewhere. That poster is going to be framed, and hanging in my house somewhere before it comes out in theaters.
You guys aren't scared if the movie sucks?
Then it can come down. I'm not getting a tattoo of that thing on my arm. I'm just going to get a poster of it.
Imagine that's just your whole back.
Yeah, I just tattoo it on my, and then I end up painting the movie. All right, what's next?
Nana says, "Hi guys, just want to submit a theory I have about Superman trailer and get your thoughts. R.E. the man throwing the can, is it possible it's because Superman rescued the Boravian kid when people didn't want him to get involved? Could it go political?"
Well, we talked about that on the show last week, right? That was one of the big theories we discussed on the show, that maybe people are mad because when the monster first attacks the city,
he's somewhere else.
Superman wasn't there yet because he was over on the other side of the world dealing with another problem that other people were having. And then once he dealt with that problem, he came back, joined in the fight against the monster, but maybe a lot of damage already happened and people are mad at him for that. I still think it's more of somebody else had the other theory that people were mad that Superman stopped the other heroes from killing the monster. Maybe that's also, or maybe he made a mistake. Maybe Superman tried something and it didn't work. I don't know. But yeah, the theory that maybe he wasn't there at first because he was off dealing with another problem somewhere else in the world. Hey, listen, something like that would be very relevant today.
That makes sense, actually.
So it could be one of them. And again, we discussed that last week. So absolutely. All right, what's next?
All right, we got $35 four-parter from Ike.
Oh, thank you, Ike.
Yo, what up, John? I have a theory about Pa Kent and the Superman trailer. I don't think he's sad because Ma Kent has died. I think it's because Clark has just been told by Ma Kent the news that Pa Kent has terminal cancer, and that's why he's alone with him looking sad.
That's interesting.
Reasons. One, homage to Pa Kent dying of a health-related illness in the comics. To reiterate how Superman can't save everyone. To promote the message of having hope in the face of adversity, i.e. cancer patients fighting every day and still having hope. 3, and as a love letter to James Gunn's dad dying of cancer, only because James Gunn has used his own personal experiences to influence the film, i.e. Crypto being based on his own dog and the movie being released on his dad's birthday. And then finally, and I think Look Up may also be a double entendre for look up with awe and wonder at Superman and look up with hope toward a better tomorrow, in the face of the adversity, kind of like keep your chin up and fight the good fight.
Here's the thing I like most about that theory. The notion that there are some things even Superman can't take care of.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I think maybe Pa Kent lives through this thing, but your proposition of that, like they just found out he has this horrible diagnosis and there's nothing, the man who could fly to the sun and back, there's nothing he can do about this. And again, that addresses one of the big issues and struggles with Superman storytelling, is that you basically have a character that's a god and coming up with things that are difficult for him, or having to face things that he just can't do. That was one of the great things about the Superman and Lois show. It's like, you know what Superman is going to have a hard time with? Fatherhood. Yeah. Doesn't matter how big your muscles are, shooting lasers out of your eyes. Your kid wants to do the jingle jangle drug. Like still the whole idea of fatherhood, that's what made it interesting. And I like this theory simply because that idea that it presents us again with as powerful as Superman, the greatest of all the superheroes, that there's even going to be some things that he can't deal with. And that would be a very interesting angle in the movie.
Man, if everything this the writer or the viewers said is true, man, this movie's gonna wreck me.
All right, what's
brutal.
next?
Anonymous says, after the Friday show, I want to shout out John and the fans for more great theories that got me thinking. I love this part of fandom where we let our imaginations run wild because we love something, and I want to cheer this on. Happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, and you know what? It's an important listen. There is nothing wrong with theorizing. There is nothing wrong with having theories about movies, as long as our what is the thing I say? Whatever.
Don't let your expectations.
No.
I said it backwards.
Yeah. Don't let your not theories. What do I say? Don't let your something become
speculation.
Speculation.
Don't let your speculation become expectation. Right. It's fun to speculate. There's nothing wrong with speculating and imagining and all this kind of stuff, as long as we don't let our speculation become expectation. Remember, somebody else just wrote in about that, well, it's not what I had in my head.
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares? Like, I got a lot of things in my head that's not going to end up being in the movie. Like, it's fun to speculate. Just don't let speculation become expectation, and then we're good. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got, sorry, I skipped up a little by accident. X-Ray says, hey, John, you mentioned the Variety article about the Sony Marvel movies, but did you know that an article said that they deal with Disney does... Wait. But did you know in that article, they said the deal with Disney doesn't exclude having Spider-Man from their movies. They're just choosing not to have him, which is, I'm not going to lie, I find odd.
And I think they're wrong. I actually talked to somebody. I'm not going to go into details. That is something that I think they were definitively wrong in their article about. I just straight up think they were wrong about that. For several reasons that I can't talk about. But yes, yeah, that was definitely in that article, but they're not infallible. I think they were incorrect. I think that was an error in their article, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Stoner says Stoner Watch Production says, John, thinking about the Barkley versus Amazon thing, I think they mean broccoli.
Probably meant broccoli.
Yeah, probably auto-corrected. Maybe they're fighting over whether it goes to theaters or streaming.
Again, I mean, that's a possibility. I don't think Amazon wants the bigger properties. Amazon knows James Bond is far more popular on the big screen. And then bringing it onto the streaming service.
Charles Broccoli.
they weren't sold on that with Roadhouse. right? So that's why there was an issue with Roadhouse. They didn't think it could be big in theaters and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it is possible, but I don't think they disagree over that. I think Amazon very much wants Bond to be a theatrical film, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
JCM Gervin says, favorite opening lines from a Christmas film, maybe any film. Oh, well, it was a fine meal. Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yes, what should we do now? Let's have lunch. Speaks to me. Muppets Christmas Carol.
You know, I've seen Muppets Christmas Carol. That's the one with Michael Caine, right?
Yeah.
I've seen Muppets Christmas Carol a couple of times. I couldn't remember one line from it. I don't. I know Chris Carr would be agog and aghast right now to hear me say that, but I don't remember any line about it. But it is a great line. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the line in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. What about, yes, we've had breakfast, but what about second breakfast?
Yeah.
11 Z's, noon tea, like all that kind of stuff. That reminds me of that. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, interesting theory at the end of Infinity War when Thanos punched Cap, then fell to the ground. It's rumored he actually died, then was resurrected because Thanos used the Time Stone to go back in time to get the Mind Stone off of Vision's head.
I think if that's what they were actually going for, they would have pronounced that much more definitively in the movie.
Sure.
But, you know, Thanos hit a lot of people and they live. I mean, and it's not like Steve Rogers, some average guy. He has super soldier serum. So interesting theory, but no, I don't think that's what the Russo brothers were going for there. All right, what's next?
Korea Got Soul. Get it? Hi, John and the gang. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So I'm really excited for Nosferatu, and it got me thinking, do you think Lily Rose Depp is a better actress than Johnny Depp? What are your thoughts?
Oh, hell no. No. And listen, I'm not crap talking on Lily Rose Depp at all. But I mean, she's still new, right?
He has decades of experience.
Yeah, against truly one of the great actors of our generation, right? Like, she also wasn't great in that damn show she did with The Weeknd.
Mm-hmm.
What was even that called again?
I don't know. Superstar, Never Soupin'. Can't remember.
Look at My Boobs, the special.
Was it the the one with
the Idol?
The Idol.
Okay.
First one to put it in the live chat there was Patrick.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was bad in it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think she was particularly bad in it. Not at all. I think she's got promise. But pump the brakes on trying to compare her to her dad right now. Like, so yeah, let's get a couple of Academy Award nominations on her name before we start asking whether she's better than her dad. Look, she's got promise. And she could become really good, but anywhere near that right now? No, not at all. Not yet. All right, what's next?
She hasn't even played Tonto yet. Then we
Yes, once she's played a female Tonto, then we can talk.
Tristan Thorpe says, I'm neutral when it comes to Superman's underwear, but, you know, since it's making a comeback, let's get them undies back on Batman. Let's just put a stop to it.
Yeah, Batman, let's just take those out altogether.
Now, Robin could wear them.
Man, that... Look, I know no one's going to like it. And I love the Robin character. I love Dick Grayson. I thought Jason Todd was really interesting and all that. But look, let's just get rid of the red underwear characters. And the Robin character is one of the stupidest, ugliest costume designs ever in comic books.
Except the R.
When you're really trying to sneak around
the logo. The R logo's fine, but that's this big on the cost. The overall costume is so ridiculous.
I mean, when you're trying to sneak around, bright yellow might not be the best color to use.
I'm coming to get you, bad guys. Whee!
I'm the
He
color
came out of the blue.
Don't ruin my tights. All right, what's next?
Starboard.
Tommy Pickles says, hey guys, I think Soup's crash landing in Antarctica happens at the end of the film. Makes sense for him to be down and out to be saved by Crypto in the last act. There's something poetic about who saves the hero after he saves the world.
Actually, James Gunn has said that is the opening shot of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like that is the tone setter.
Yep, that's the thing that's setting. And you know what? It's a classic Hollywood storytelling trope that the movie opens with like a definitive moment of the film. And then it takes you to here's how we got here. Or they might not even do that. That might be literally just where the movie starts. Mm-hmm. And then he gets taken back to the fortress, regenerates, and then goes and gets back in the fight. And that's how the movie begins. But yeah, I believe James Gunn has said that opening shot in the trailer is literally the opening shot in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. All right, what's next?
Let's see. We got Stromboli here who says, I watched Sonic 3 on the 21st of December. When I saw the rabbit face that Maria drew on the glass container Shadow was in, I laughed, and a man or teenager near me said, it's not funny, bro. P.S. Seeing the mid-credits scene made me yell.
Yeah, first of all, I really enjoyed Sonic 3. I thought the mid-credit scene was just, we're just doing the exact same thing you did with the mid-credits of the other two movies. Anyway, I thought it was a really precious moment in the movie that they allude to in the trailer anyway. I thought that was a really charming, very precious moment that I liked a lot. And like, who the hell is that guy? You laugh at something in a movie theater and they say, it's not that funny. It's like, dude, take the fucking stick out of your ass.
Well, how insecure are you about your own feelings about interpretation that no one else can feel differently?
Yeah, I didn't laugh at it. You shouldn't laugh. Shut the fuck up.
Like, I like that scene and you ruined it.
All right, what's next?
Captain Maple says, my top 10 movies of 2024 is one movie I haven't seen is the Dylan biopic. So already likes it.
But the real number one.
Yeah.
Is Horizon.
Horizon, America's Saga. 2 would be White Bird. 3, Bike Riders. 5 is My Old Ass.
4, My Old Ass.
Oh, because they're so close. Okay. 3, Bike Riders. 4, My Old Ass. 5, Wicked. 6, Wicked Little Letters. 7, Civil War. 8, The Wild Robot. 10, Sight. 9, Sight. 10, Ordinary Angels. There's no spacings in it.
I know Wild Robot's going to be higher on my list. You know, I'm going to be doing a list this week of ranking the best animated films of the year. Spoiler, it's Wild Robot. But I'm going to be doing a full list on that, so that one's going to be higher. But yeah, interesting. I like the diversity of your list, too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Dad Joke says, hi, John and crew. Up until now, Superman movies have shown a world where he inserts himself and they have to adjust to his presence. He had the advantage of being both powerful and unknown, but in this movie, he is adjusting to a world that already has history, systems, cultures, rules around being superheroes or super beings. So he's having to navigate and find his place in this world on their terms. He's at risk and has the disadvantage this time. Although the most powerful, he's the new guy with all eyes on him.
I don't know that that's true. Like, yes, we live in a world with superheroes, but let's face it, even in a world with superheroes, there's never been a Superman. And we don't know how long. Like, he's at least been around for a couple of years. By the time this movie starts, he's been around for a couple of years. And he's clearly the most powerful superhero that's ever lived. The stuff you're talking about whether he adjusts the world and the world adjusts to him, is one of the reasons why I love Man of Steel so much. Because first of all, the movie begins with the fact that he is just trying to figure out his place in the world, right? He's even on that pilgrimage of his, like traveling the world, trying to figure out, who am I? Where did I come from? What is my place here? How do I fit in with this world? But then it goes to the Pa Kent point of view, where Pa Kent is just worried about the world too. It's like, the world's not ready for you. There's something that the world is really going to have to deal with a lot, just with understanding that you're here and who you are and what you represent. And so I do like that struggle. And I hope, although I'm not sure they're going to play it out in this movie the way you're describing it, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I hope it is an issue that is discussed, because even in a world with superheroes, Superman changes the discussion. There's literally one guy. I mean, to go back to Batman versus Superman, like when Ben Affleck's Batman is like, listen, even if there is a 1% chance that this guy is against us, we have to take it as an absolute certainty, because this guy represents of what he represents. So I hope a part of that discussion is a part of this movie too. We'll see. All right, what's next?
J.O. says, maybe I missed it, but what does the crew think about the 2 different crests? The trailer has the suit from the leaked pics with a yellow border, and the poster release has a red border around the crest. This one looks a bit tighter too. Appreciate you all. I honestly didn't notice.
I honestly don't notice any difference. I mean, maybe if I did a sit down exact close up look at it.
So I guess there's the red crest, and he's saying that's what's in the trailer.
But if you look at this shot on my screen, it's the same one. It's just like a little,
I think it's just
hard
catching
to see because
light.
of the burn marks on it. But I thought I don't personally see any difference, but that's just me. Maybe there is if I look a little bit closer.
I'm pretty sure that's what we saw in that one shot a long time ago with the snow on it.
But if we do see a difference in the shots, which I didn't notice, What would I think about it? I would have no thoughts about it at all because I don't think it means anything or represents anything or really changes the way we look at the movie.
Yeah.
But you never know. Maybe there's some pivotal point in the movie where some kind of change happens. But again, I haven't noticed a change myself. All right, what's next?
The Borb says, hey, crew, what kind of award attention do you anticipate for Dune 2? Not sure if we have got official confirmation of Dune 3 yet. Wondering how much award attention will help it get the green light.
Oh, no. Dune 3's green lit.
Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve's already said he's already working on the film. They're not shooting it yet, but he's already working on the film and all that kind of stuff. Dune 3 is coming. It's getting nominated for Best Picture. To me, it's ridiculous that it's not already a foregone conclusion that it is the best picture of the year. I think it's the best movie of the last 10 years. Jonathan's got a theory that, it's just because it came out so early in the year, everybody's just kind of forgotten about it. And we're on to the new hotness of Conclave and Brutalist and Honora and all amazing films. But anyway, that's just me. But yeah, it's definitely going to be in there in all the big awards conference. And it'll be nominated for Best Picture. Doesn't sound like it's going to win, but it absolutely should. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Hawkeye Pierce has a two-parter and says, minor consequential nitpick or inconsequential nitpick that doesn't affect the quality of recent Disney Plus Star Wars series, but the fact that Lucasfilm felt the need to invent a new intro sequence for Star Wars instead of using the iconic A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away is honestly a bit perplexing. That blue text is instantly recognizable and is already a pre-established unique brand identifier. Why do you think they have decided to stop using it? And do you also miss it too? It being gone is still a bit jarring. I don't think it needs to always be used.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I don't miss it, to be honest with you. I think it would be cool if it was there. But very similarly to your issue, I think every Star Wars story should start with an opening crawl. I think the opening crawl is more synonymous and identified with Star Wars than anything else. I'm not saying every episode like of a show, but I'm saying I think every episode 1 of any Star Wars show should start with an opening crawl. I think the opening of any Star Wars movie should start with an opening crawl. Like, to me, that is a far more thing that is synonymous with Star Wars than anything else. And I really do miss that. Just the little words coming up, time ago in a galaxy far away. You can put that there. You cannot have that there. It'd be nice. But to me, it's the opening crawl because the opening crawl is also functional.
Mm-hmm.
In the span of 30 seconds, it can give you what would take you 5 minutes of exposition to set up with this, because it immediately sets you up in the story. It accomplishes in about 30 seconds of scrolling text what 5 minutes of exposition might take you to do. And that could all be covered really quickly in an opening crawl. So for nostalgia's sake, for style's sake, but also for functionality's sake, I really miss the fact that they don't do. I think they absolutely should have an opening crawl in every Star Wars thing. That's just me. All right, what's next?
Matan says, how does one get into Warhammer 40K? How does one pick up a faction? I am the wrong person to ask.
Listen, if you want to get into Warhammer 40K, here's what you do. Look up local game shops in your area. Because most game shops, not all of them, will not only have all the Warhammer 40K stuff you need, a lot of great, like one of our favorite places me and Ann to go to is these game shops, because they also have big tables set
They have
out
the gaming. Yeah.
for playing, for playing Magic the Gathering, for playing Warhammer 40K, for playing a lot of different things. I would just go to one of these game shops and just say, hey, I'm interested in getting into Warhammer 40K, and they will set you up. That is the best way to get started.
And you're right, especially nowadays, it's like, oh, new income, a new customer in a place, in an area that people are not flocking to, they will treat you like royalty.
And you will also find it's a very friendly community, a very friendly, open community. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Super Saiyan Hedgehog says, first Superman teaser is even better on the big screen. So hyped for July 11th. Now Sonic 3 had me and the kids overly entertained, from Eggman's dance battle to the Super Saiyan Hedgehog's fight. 2 thumbs way up. Creator of Dragon Ball Evolution, take notes.
Again, yeah, very entertaining movie. And my favorite scene in the movie was the dance. That's at least the part that I laughed out loud the most was the dance. It was absolutely great. And unfortunately, they didn't play the Superman trailer with my screening. I was really hoping to see that Superman trailer on the big screen, but they did for yours.
Yeah, well, I saw Mufasa yesterday morning, and they played it there.
Okay.
And I'm seeing Sonic later today.
They didn't have it in front of my Mufasa screening either. I do want to see it on the big screen, though. I really do.
It actually makes a difference. I mean, as obvious as that sounds, it really does.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, Dune Prophecy finished amazingly. Episode 5 and 6 were great. The show as a whole was much more than the sum of its parts. Even episode 3, which was the low light of the show, in retrospect, makes total sense because, wowee, what a payoff.
I didn't know last night. I haven't seen the new episode yet. I was watching football. I did not know that was the last episode. For whatever, I had in my head that was going to be 8 episodes, but it's only 6?
Apparently.
I guess so.
I have to look that up, but yeah.
So I have not seen... Yeah, I mean, I hope the last episode is really good. To me, Dune Prophecy has been okay. It's been okay. I don't regret that I've watched it. It certainly had some really good stuff in it. There are some great scenes, some great moments. But yeah, so I'll probably go and sit down and watch that this afternoon, but I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully it does end it off well. All right, what's next?
I got to read this one because this was one we didn't cover. So Ron H says, have you checked out the trailer for Novocaine? Looks crazy. Amazon Prime film. Dude doesn't feel pain. His girl gets kidnapped by bad men. He goes after them. Bloody, gory, hilarity ensues.
The trailer for Novocaine is hilarious.
That's Jack Quaid too, right?
It's Jack Quaid, the guy from The Boys. Who plays Huey in The Boys. Basically, it's a little bit like Darkman. Remember Darkman? He just can't feel pain, his nerve end.
Yeah.
So Jack Quaid, who plays Huey in The Boys, he's basically a character who can't feel pain. And then he meets a girl that he likes, and the girl gets kidnapped, and he goes, and he's not equipped to be any kind of a hero, but he goes on this quest to try to save the girl. The trailer looks great. If you have not seen it yet, it's really good. Go look it up. It's called Novocaine.
Yeah. So he's got a couple movies back to back. He's got that companion movie, which was kind of that weird where she's on fire, and then this movie. So Brian O'Connor says, hey crew, heroes like Superman and Wonder Woman don't exist in the Reeves verse. Do you think Metropolis or characters like Lex or Lois could exist? I'd love to see Matt Reeves' interpretation of Lex Luthor.
I don't see why not, because a character like Lex Luthor would fit Lex Luthor isolated would fit very well in the Matt Reeves universe. But again, I think Matt Reeves' stories are mainly going to focus on Gotham. I don't think Batman cares about Metropolis. I don't think Batman cares about Metropolis, or cares for it, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think you could have a Lex Luthor in there, and you can even mention that there's this other city, Metropolis. But like, to me, when I think about it as a Parks and Rec fan, it's like Gotham is Pawnee and Metropolis is Eagleton. And and I don't, for only people who watch Parks and Rec will understand that reference, but I don't think he really cares about it. I think they're mainly going to be focused in Gotham. All right, what's next?
Okay, Jake the State Farm Snake says,
Dang.
Sonic 3 was so much fun. I loved how a lot of the grown adults cheered and got excited more than their own kids at certain moments. They played a certain song from the games diehard fans will recognize during the third act that got me super hyped.
Well, I mean, that's not surprising because the parents were the ones playing those games when they first came out. Right?
Just like Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are a lot of jokes in the Mario Brothers movies that nobody under 17 remotely understood. Where there was a visual gag or something like that. That was literally made for people who have been playing Mario since, like, little kids. And I think there was some of that in the Sonic movie as well. But again, just overall, a really entertaining film. All right, what's next?
Optimus Prime Rib says, love the show, John. The family and I are going to our first ever hockey game next weekend. Go Ducks. Could only afford zero gravity seats, but I'm still excited. What can I expect at a game? Any tips or recommendations for a great time? Wear coats. A lot of people forget it gets cold.
Yeah, don't forget, when you go into a hockey arena, it is going to be chilly.
Yeah, very
because
cold.
There's a giant block of ice and you have to maintain the temperature in the arena to be a certain amount of cold to maintain. Don't get me wrong, it's not freezing.
Yeah, but it gets cold.
But it's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold. So dress appropriately. You're just going to have a blast. Like, hockey is absolutely 100% the most entertaining sport to watch live.
Yeah, they're always fun.
Because it's nonstop action. It's back and forth. It's fast. It's physical. It's a great thing to watch. And it is the best. Like, I go to a lot of football games. I go to a lot of basketball games, stuff like that. But hockey is the best sport to watch live. I think you're going to have a really good time. All right, what's next?
All right, Trek Geek with a Superman theory. Soup Suit is depicted as is because it's stag issued like the rest of the hero suits. The real suit will be revealed later when Clark breaks from stag. Also, does Gunn forego mid after credit scenes in the new DCU, or is it just the norm of geek movies?
I don't believe at all that. I think his suit comes from Krypton. I don't know that for a fact. You could be right. I'm just saying my theory is I don't believe that it comes from Stag. I don't think that Stag in this universe is going to be the Vought of the Boys universe. I think it's going to be influential, but I don't think it's going to be that, you know? And what was the last part of the question again?
Let's see. The mid and after credit scenes.
No, you know what? I don't expect there to be a mid or post credit scene. I think there'll be a big end scene, but I don't know what James Gunn is going to do, but I'm not personally expecting a mid or post credit scene. All right, what's next?
Lloyd says the Superman trailer is awesome, but do you guys remember the very first trailer for Man of Steel with Lisa Gerard's elegy in the background and Clark saying the world is too big, Mom? That was something else. Newer watched any trailers more often.
Probably meant
never watched. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen, I loved the first Man of Steel trailer. And there was a shot in it that wasn't in the movie when Clark's a little kid and he's standing with the towel around his neck.
Right.
And there was stuff in the trailer that wasn't in the movie. That's fine.
That was actually in the movie, but it was the very end. Remember? It's tagged at the end and it shows him do that thing with the dog.
But was it the exact shot that was in the trailer?
Yeah, but it's not till the very end.
I've seen the movie like 30 times, but at any rate, it was a fabulous trailer. It was a fabulous trailer for my all-time favorite Superman movie. I thought this trailer was a better trailer.
It is. Yeah. And I thought actually more so than Man of Steel, I liked the Superman movie that came out with Ralph. The teaser
Superman Returns,
the teaser trailer, and it had the Planet Krypton music over it.
Oh yeah,
and it had the original what's his name doing his monologue of like
Marlon
Brando's monologue over it.
Because it was supposed to be an extension of the Christopher Reeves movie, right? There was also a great shot in that Superman Returns trailer where literally you just see Brandon Routh's Superman just floating in space, with his eyes closed. And then it gets a little tighter on his face, and then his eyes open and flies down. It's like, oh, it was such a great shot.
They wish to be a better people. They only need to be shown the way.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, what's next?
Rob Buck says, hey, crew, just want to say thank you for the distraction the past few months as I've been out of work since September.
Oh, sorry to hear about that, man.
Happy to report I'm finally working again and at a movie theater.
Nice.
The pay, not the best. The perks, free movies. Superman for free.
That's, I always wanted to, it was, when I started working with AMC Theaters, it was cool because I was working with this big brand, right? And they had asked me to come in and create this YouTube presence for them and all that kind of stuff. But it became a really cool thing for me when we moved our studio into the AMC Burbank 16 and I was actually working in a movie theater. That was pretty fun. I always wanted, growing up, I always wanted to work in a movie theater. And that's a pretty cool thing. And I loved my time being able to work out of the AMC Burbank 16. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, congrats on getting the gig, man. It's good to hear. All right, what's next?
Zelda Master says, when you guys talked about a dance scene in Sonic, I thought it was the scene in the first act of the film. Then the second act happened. I'll never hear Galvanized the same. Is that Chemical Brothers or?
I don't know what the name of the song was.
Is it like bum 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 bum? Okay, that's Chemical Brothers.
Yes, that's it. And oh my God. Jim Carrey steals this movie. I mean, I don't know why we're surprised by that because he steals the first two movies as well, but he really steals this. I don't know how this movie could have been without Jim Carrey in it.
Yeah.
And him playing himself and his own grandfather just was fabulous. All right, what's next?
His stupid voice, his stupid accent.
Oh yeah.
The way he
Where is Blade? Sun Tzu says, hey everyone, hope all is well. Just wanted to say I can't believe Grace Randolph said the MR Terrific's hair looks to black power. I don't know what that means.
Mr.
Okay, let's just skip this. Listen, guys, we do not, my YouTube channel is not to talk about or trash on any other YouTubers, okay? You want to talk about trends you see on YouTube, that's fine. But it's easy to call out shit on individual people when they're not here to defend themselves. So on my channel, we don't talk disparagingly about other individual specific YouTubers ever. So don't ever bother sending. I know you probably maybe didn't mean badly. I'm just saying, don't ever bother sending in a message if you're just going to gripe about another YouTuber.
Go gripe to them.
I don't talk about that shit here, just so you know.
Yeah, go gripe to them. You know.
Yeah, go complain to them personally if you want to, but we don't do that here, okay? All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, my MCU mutant theory. All right, some older mutants are already around, but too few to be classified like Xavier and Lencher. After the 2 snaps of the Infinity Gauntlet has exponentially increased the X gene in the populace, and we're just getting to that point. Children born after the snap are starting to show powers. I would introduce antagonists like Trask soon, who, after seeing these increases in mutations, classifies people as such and starts using government seized Stark tech for his Sentinel program. Oh, there's 3 parts. Sorry. You'll have the older Mutana like Xavier and Lencher, now classified as such, take these teens under their wings, especially with political propaganda building public hate for the mutants. You can also see other MCU heroes take sides on the issue.
Ever since the beginning, ever since Endgame happened and Infinity War, people have theorized that the snap is what like triggers X genes and stuff like that. I've never and it might be, that might turn out to be the case. I'm just saying, me personally, I've never bought into that theory at all because it suggests that the Infinity Stones didn't do things right. Like, no, the Infinity Stones literally just made everybody disappear, and then it brought them back exactly as they were. That's because that's the power of the Infinity Stones. Like, nobody came back with extra long hair. Nobody came back with their eye colors changed. Nobody came back wearing different kinds of shoes. And nobody came back with their genetics altered. It's that undermines the power of the Infinity Stones. It wiped them out, and it brought them back exactly the way they were.
Because that would mean when Thanos wanted to recreate the world, he would have lost power because it would be chaotic.
Yes, exactly. So, listen, again, that might be what they do. I've not been told by Kevin Feige that that's not what they're doing. I'm just saying that's why I've never personally bought into that theory. So, but we'll see. We're getting closer and closer to finding out how they're going to do it. And maybe that is the way they do it. All right, what's next?
The Bobster says, hi, John. I think the best comparison for Superman is Batman Begins. It didn't need to make $1 billion. It just needed to be good. After Batman and Robin.
Yes.
Brought the franchise to a halt. It only made $370, but was very good and set the stage for The Dark Knight.
I think that's an excellent comparison because you got to remember, like, Batman and Robin, that was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Right. Everybody chill.
That movie killed the superhero genre.
Yeah.
It didn't just kill Batman. I mean, it like killed the superhero genre. And so when that first Batman movie was coming out, when Christopher Nolan's first Batman movie was coming out, the most important, knowing that the studio wanted to make multiples, the big thing wasn't that movie made $1 billion, is that movie be really good and win everybody back. And it did. Because The Dark Knight never would have been possible if it wasn't for Batman Begins, even though it didn't make a huge amount of money. Made $370 million. So I always say, Ray, can you confirm that?
Oh, sorry.
How much Batman Begins made?
Yeah, sure.
But like, if you're right about that, and it's, I remember it was a lower number like that. That was the key. The key wasn't whether or not Batman Begins made a ton of money. It's about whether The Dark Knight was able, and The Dark Knight couldn't make that kind of money if it wasn't for the first Batman movie really setting the groundwork. What do we get there?
We got right here. It is just total.
Yeah.
375.
Okay, so $375 million, right? But that's not the important thing. The important thing is The Dark Knight, and then The Dark Knight Returns, and then like not The Dark Knight. What was the third one called? Was it called Dark Knight Returns?
Rise.
Dark Knight Rises. That's what it was. So Dark Knight Rises. Those films. That was the important thing. That is how they're looking at this first Superman movie. It's not important. I mean, hey, it'd be great if the new Superman movie makes $1 billion. That would be great. But that's not the important thing. The important thing to them is that this new Superman movie does what Batman Begins does. Establish a rep of being super high quality, and people loved the movie so that when future DCU movies come out, they bring in the bank. And I think your comparison to Batman Begins is perfect. All right, what's next?
All right, we got 6 more here. Tron says, while I love Sonic 3, I hope the filmmakers are careful with how they use their humor moving forward, especially if Jim Carrey doesn't come back. Some of the jokes were close to Love and Thunder levels of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look, I said that too, right? In my review, I said, Obviously, it's a Sonic movie. You're going to get some silly. By the way, silliness is neither good nor bad. It's a tool that can be used well or used badly. And one of the reasons why this is my third favorite of the Sonic movies is because I think there was a number of times where they pushed the silliness a little bit too much. But you expect in a Sonic movie a certain degree of silliness. I agree. I think they pushed it a little bit too far. Didn't get, for me, though, to Thor Love and Thunder levels. But yes, they do have to be a little bit careful about that, to reel that in a little bit, keep that good balance between credulity and a little bit silly that the first two films had. So I don't think they'll go too far. All right, what's next?
Supkin says, big fan, have been watching your show since 2020. First time submitting a question into the show. What do you think the chances of a crossover between Yellowstone and Landman is? Can't believe Yellowstone is over, but glad there are spinoffs on the way.
I don't see any reason why the entire Taylor Sheridan verse couldn't overlap and cross connect. I mean, the tones are all very similar. Whether you're talking about Mayor of Kingstown, whether you're talking about Yellowstone, whether you're talking about Landman, I'm finally all caught up on Landman.
Oh, okay.
It's a really good show. Little too preachy. Like the show's a little bit too preachy. That's why I don't like it as much as say Yellowstone, but whatever. I'm loving the show. I could easily see Jeremy Renner's character pop up on Landman, or I could easily see Rip showing up on Landman, or I could easily see Billy Bob Thornton's character popping into town for something on Mayor of Kingstown. Like, it really does feel like a universe that you could easily interchange the characters. So we'll see if they ever decide to do something like that. All right, what's next?
The Bobster says, you often say that Dune 2 is the best film of the past 10 years.
To me.
Yeah.
To me.
What is the last film from the 10 years or so that you think was better than Dune 2? We've been asked this before. Like, what was kind of one of your favorites before?
King's Speech. God, I love King's Speech. I think King's Speech was the best picture winner in a long time. I love that. So I don't sit down there I don't sit and walk around with these lists in my head. I just know that, yeah, Dune 2 is probably my favorite movie of the last 10 years. I personally think that is the best movie when you take all the disciplines into consideration. I think that's the best overall movie of the past 10 years. But I don't walk around with a list like, what would the other ones be before that? I'm not really sure. Again, I know for a long time we did a best movie, worst movie on Academy Award winning films of the past 20 years. And I think my number one was, at least for best picture winning films, was King's Speech, but that would be up there too. All right, what's next?
Kayla says, John, have you seen the Uncharted fan film with Nathan Fillion? Nathan does a great job playing Nathan Drake. Makes me wish they did a full Uncharted film with him rather than Tom Holland.
Yeah, here's the problem though. When you do these short little fan films, it's easy to romanticize how that would have been as a big full feature. Oh. But just because something works in a short fan film, because I think Slang was in that with him too. It was a great little fan film. Honestly, I love Nathan Fillion. But if there was going to be a time for him to play Nathan Drake, it was probably 15 years ago. I don't think a 50-year-old Nathan Drake, that a 50-year-old
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion
right.
is the guy to do that. Even though the short film was fun. Short film was fun and wonderful, but that was a short film. And I think we as film fans take like something in like these little conceptual things like that and think, oh, then that's what they should have done for a full movie. I don't know that it would have worked as well in a full movie.
And speaking of fan films, there's a viewer that wrote a little while ago about a Batman Beyond film. I actually checked that out on Saturday. I thought it was great. It's great.
Was it live?
Yeah,
it's
live action. I mean, it's real short, and going upon what you just said, I'm not going to take it any, but I like what I saw, and they did a great job. That suit looks amazing. The suit that they created looks amazing. So thank you for pointing that out, or else I would never have seen it.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Mr. I says, I forgot to add to my theory that it's the radiation of the snaps on those who survive the snaps. They took 2 snaps of cosmic radiation. Now their children are showing up. So the ones that didn't get snapped away, but they were exposed to it.
Okay, but remember, who said there was any radiation? The Infinity Gauntlet didn't create residual radiation. At least nowhere in the MCU did they say that it did. So, and now using it obviously burned up Thanos' arm, and it burned up Hulk's arm, and it ultimately killed Tony Stark. But again, there is nothing in the MCU to suggest that the Infinity Stones didn't do exactly as they intended to do. Take everyone away, bring everybody back just as they were without residual consequences. So again, but we'll see. Maybe that is what Kevin Feige decides. I'm certainly not saying it isn't. I'm saying I don't believe that that's what it is, but we'll see.
That's it for that. We got some member chats here.
All right, we're almost out of time here, but yeah, let's take a few of our member chat questions.
So Esteban says, just finished God of War Ragnarok and the extra DLC called Valhalla, where Kratos battles his past demons. This has become my favorite game ever. I cannot wait for this to become a series.
Yeah, I listen, especially when you look at what Amazon has done lately. The Boys, all 3 seasons killed it with The Boys. When you look at what they did with Fallout, which got nominated for Best Drama Series, like I'm getting pretty excited. And then the most important thing is that they ended up getting the greatest showrunner in the world. Ronald D. Moore, the greatest showrunner in the world, is going to be running the new God of War show. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited. All right, what's next?
Matt says hello, says, hey, gang, happy holidays from London, England. John said that Sony won't stop making Spider-Man villain films, but are Sony going to have trouble finding talent, actors, writers, directors, due to negative feeling around their films?
No. Everybody keeps forgetting. People want work. People want work, and they want a platform and an opportunity to do their stuff.
Now, caliber of actor, maybe not.
Like, well, are there going to be some of the upper actors that have plenty of choices may not pick it? Yeah. But like, again, like the great Michael Douglas told me once, he said, you know, I was asking about this particular movie. It was a great little movie called Las Vegas, which you guys should see because it's awesome. But I was talking to him about this movie, and he said, and I was asking about why this movie, and he said, I am an actor for hire. I have my set of skills and people need it, and I go and perform it. That's what I do. A lot of actors do that. It is a very, very tiny percentage of actors who are like a Leonardo DiCaprio or are like a Timothée Chalamet right now, who literally can just sit back and pick whatever movie they want. Most actors, even the famous ones, are always looking for their next role and an opportunity. So will it limit who they can get? Maybe 1%. But no, they're not going to have any problem casting and getting people involved with those movies because everybody wants a job. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Callum, who says, hey, John, have you been watching Dexter Original Sin? It started off great.
I have not. I do plan on it. I do plan on watching that, though, because the trailers kind of won me over, even though I wasn't interested in it at first, but I haven't started on it yet. Okay, let's take 2 more.
Okay. VT3 says, John and crew, Chris Nolan confirmed he starts filming his next movie in Q1 of 2025.
That makes sense since they already announced the whole cast.
Yeah, cast includes, everybody listed there. Nolan says, we haven't said what it is yet. We're not quite ready to say what it is, but soon.
Yeah, and very excited about it. Can't wait. A lot of people are speculating it's going to be a vampire movie. And I looked around. I don't know where that theory came from.
I don't either.
Because nothing I've seen Christopher Nolan talk about remotely hints that it's going to be a vampire movie. But that seems to be the prevalent theory right now. So I know. All I know is it's, again, killer cast. It's the new Christopher Nolan film. What's there not to be excited about? All right, last question of the day.
Last up is King Daddy Goat. Says, hey, crew, last week we talked about Electric State, but not the budget for this massive film. How are they able to produce a $320 million film and drop it straight to Netflix? I'm not mad or upset. I just really want to know how that works because I'm curious how thanks and bring on the filthy.
Well, remember, it's not them. They're not paid. Netflix is paying the bill. Netflix does, they're paying the bill, and it's going to be a money loser for them. They're not going to get, this movie is not going to get a whole ton of new subscribers as a result of it. So it's a model that doesn't have long sustainability.
I don't like it.
And yeah, and I don't think you're going to see many of those moving forward. I really don't. But they're trying to make a big, huge splash with it, so they'll drop a bunch of money and try to make a big splash. But at the end of the day, I really don't think it's going to convert a whole bunch of brand new subscribers. But yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's Christmas Eve installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Jonathan Voico.
Okay, see you guys soon.
Yeah, the guys won't be in tomorrow or Wednesday, but I will be here tomorrow. There is still going to be a John Campea Show. I'm just giving the crew the day off tomorrow, so I'll look forward to seeing you then if you guys are around. So until then, my friends, my name's John Campea. Bye-bye.